technical issue, but I'm back. Ungratefuls, you would leave me after all I've done for you? After I saved your lives? Where would you be without me? Dead, that's where. If freedom is what you want, your choice becomes with a price. See how you like my burden, my little piccolos. The witch waved her arms and incanted. A messenger brought you about, one and at the same must bring you out. You may not leave in earthly form, your spirits to a woodwind borne. You save a soul from death's dark door, or here you'll languish evermore. In a rush of ear-splitting wind, the witch, the midwife, the cottage, and every belonging from the table to the teacup swirled toward the clouds, disappearing into another time and place. When the air quelled, Eins, Zwei, and Drei found themselves with only the clothes on their backs, confined in a large clearing of stones and stumps, surrounded by a circle of trees in a world where the sun rose and set, yet time did not pass. And so now we're back to the story with Otto. Otto raised his eyes from the book's page, looking from sister to sister to sister. Eins wiped a tear from her cheek. It is all true. What happens to us next? Asked Zwei. Oh, you must read on. Do we reunite with our mother, or meet our brother? Asked Drei. Otto turned the page. The leaves were blank. He flipped to the end of the book, but it was no more the same, parchment with no words. It is unfinished, he said. There is no middle or ending. Because we have not yet experienced anything after that page in the book, said Eins. We've been here, bound forever, as the witch's useless baubles. What does this spell mean? Asked Otto. She called us little piccolos, said Zwei. So to make it more difficult to break the spell, our spirits may be carried from tree circle only inside a woodwind, by a messenger. Otto looked at the sisters, now despondent. If I could get home, I could help you, he offered. Do you have a woodwind? Asked Eins. Zwei leaned closer. A bassoon? Or an oboe, perhaps? Asked Drei. Otto shook his head. I only brought one other thing. He began to unroll his sleeve, which had been unfolded to his elbow. This morning, when I bought this book, the gypsy insisted I take this too, and did not ask for extra pfennig. He held up a harmonica. The eyes of the sisters brightened. Eins gasped, a mouth harp. Zwei stood and came closer. If you will allow us to play it, we will help you find the way home. Drei touched his arm. But you must promise to pass along the mouth harp to another, when the time is right, for our journey to save a soul on the brink of death cannot begin until you do. Eins nodded. It is our only hope of escaping this spell. I promise, said Otto, for he wanted to go home. But how will I know when or to whom? The three sisters surrounded him and whispered, You will know. Otto handed the harmonica to Eins. She played a short melody. Taking the instrument from her lips, she passed it to her sister. Zwei played a different tune. As she performed, Otto heard both songs at the same time. Zwei passed the harmonica to Drei, who played yet another song. That isn't possible, said Otto. I hear 3 melodies at once. Satisfied and in harmony, the sister said, It is possible. The sky deepened, night loomed. Otto whispered, How will I find my way? I'm afraid of the dark. Eins stood tall and said, Your fate is not yet sealed. Even in the darkest night a star will shine, a bell will chime, a path will be revealed. Drei handed him a small instrument. Otto whimpered, But it's only one harmonica. Oh, it is much more, said Eins. When you play it, you breathe in and out, just as you would to keep your body alive. Have you ever considered that one person might play the mouth harp and pass her strength and vision and knowledge? So the next musician who plays it might feel the same, said Zwei. It is true. When you play, you will see and find your way. You will have the fortitude to carry on. Drei nodded. And you will be forever joined to us, to all who have played the harp, and to all who will play it, by the silken thread of destiny. Otto was overwhelmed by all of their strange suggestions. Forever joined by the silken thread of destiny, their talking confounded him. His head ached, and he felt woozy. "I'm so ever tired. I want to go home." "And soon you will," said Ines. "Slumber now," said Zwei. "Sweet dreams," whispered Dre, her voice hypnotic. He swooned and dropped to the pine needles. When Otto woke, the sun blazed overhead. He sat up and found himself in a thicket at the side of a narrow path. In his hand he still clutched the harmonica, but the book was nowhere to be found, nor was Ines, Zwei, and Dry. Had they kept the book, brought him to this spot, and left him? Was the path the way home? All day he stumbled along the narrow trail, overgrown with wild geranium and thistle, until the sun disappeared behind the trees. The knot on his head throbbed. Darkness crept in. Weak and frightened, he began to give up hope, until he remembered the harmonica. He lifted it to his lips and played a simple tune. The unusual tone of the instrument filled him with a peculiar and euphoric well-being. He felt less alone. As he walked, he whispered, "Your fate is not yet sealed. Even in the darkest night a star will shine. A bell will chime, a path will be revealed." Overhead the tree branches slowly parted. Stars shone down, lighting the way. He put one foot in front of the other. Had the sisters infused the harmonica with the strength to carry on? Were they with him in spirit? He thought he heard voices and stopped. Was it Ines, Zwei, and Dre? Or wolves and bears and the wild boar? Or just the forest playing tricks with his mind? His heart raced. Otto took a giant breath and blew hard into the harmonica. The chord pierced the night. The forest grew silent, as if the world stood still. Otto heard voices again, calling, calling. His name. Someone was calling his name. In the distance he saw spots of light bobbing like fireflies. He pushed forward, stumbled onto the pear orchard, and found it crowded with townspeople, lanterns held high, combing the edge of the woods. "Here, I'm here!" he yelled. A song rang out, "He's found! He's found!" Two men ran to him, clasped their arms together to make a sling, scooped him up, and carried him toward the others. His father appeared, and Otto collapsed into his arms. People cheered, and children crowded around him, patted him on the back. Moldhyde was there, and her eyes filled at the sight of him. Otto was so shaken he could not talk. He could only bury his face into his father's chest and cry. Later at home, he whispered the entire story to his mother and father, beginning with the book and the harmonica he had bought from the gypsy. "Ines, Zwei, and Dry saved me. They guided me out of the forest." His parents looked at each other and raised their eyebrows. "There now," said his mother. "There have been no gypsies passing through our village of late. You must have found the harmonica in the forest, left by another mischievous child. And you were not gone overnight. You have only been missing since the morning. Rest now, for you have a bad bump on your head." He fell asleep with the harmonica cradled in his hand. After Otto recovered, he carried the harmonica wherever he went. He told his friends and anyone else who would listen about Ines, Zwei, and Dry. After several weeks, people became weary of the telling and began to laugh and dismiss him. Only Moldhyde ever tried hearing the mysterious tale. Concerned, his father sat him down. "People are beginning to think you are affected. You were lost and you were saved by signaling with that harmonica. That is all. I do not want to hear another word about a gypsy, a book, imaginary sisters, or a magic harmonica." To please his parents, Otto kept the harmonica out of sight and never carried it from his house again. He stopped mentioning the three sisters and their story. Soon, life with his family went back to how it had been before he was lost in the forest. But whenever he felt afraid, he secretly took the harmonica from its hiding spot, played a song, and escaped into its reverie, feeling and familiar and sense of happiness and comfort, that peculiar and euphoric well-being. Each time, every detail of the story in the book and the events in the forest flooded back to him. The king's trickery, the midwife's journey, the witch's spell, his encounter with Einswy and Dry, and his promise to them. He never forgot that he'd been entrusted with their future, or that the harmonica carried their deepest hopes to be free, to be loved, and to belong somewhere beyond a tree circle, so that the rest of the story might someday be written. He never forgot their journey to save a soul at the moment of death would not begin until he sent the harmonica out into the world, when the time was right. He was the messenger. And that ends the prologue and begins the story of Echo. And that's where I'll stop for today.